Hi and welcome. If you're new here, my name is Petra. I'm a curious explorer of all things creative. I love notebooks, journals, playing with stationery, and today I wanted to do a little comparison of the different types of covers I currently have in my collection. As of recently, a couple of months ago, I have deeply fell in love with the B6 size. And to show you an example, these covers are in the B6. It's like a golden middle between A6, which is a really small size, and if you're familiar with Hobonichi or Stalogy, this is like the little size they offer. It's quite popular, it's quite portable, but for myself, for some stuff, I realized it was just a little too small for my needs. But I do still enjoy it for certain projects. A5, I have always found it to be too chunky, too big, especially if I want to carry it along. So that's really a size that I rarely use. I never owned a Hobonichi in A5. I currently have no A5 size journals, so I cannot compare them to B6, but just to make it a bit easier for you, this is an A6 cover, this is a B6 cover, so the size is significant, but again, not so much that this could be considered huge. I will take the notebooks out of the cover so I can compare the notebook size as well. But the point of today's video was more to compare the different kinds of covers that are available, specifically for B6, as that's my fixation lately. But again, I have here little cover from Moterm, and that's in the Hobonichi Weeks size, and it can carry a notebook of this format. Specifically, it's designed for the weeks, but there are a lot of dupes out there and similar size products with different layouts, and they will all fit well because this cover is also quite generous with its sizing. So to get back on track, the point of today's videos is to compare the different cover options that are available out there for B6. I do not have all the options. I do not wish to have all the options. But I have been curious to try out one brand I have seen pop up with certain people and B6 users and other format users, and it's the Gilio cover. Well, I first saw it and realized it exists a couple of months ago, and regarding the brand, I'm not so familiar with what exactly they produce. I'm not familiar with the entire lineup, but I did really like their configuration, especially with the pockets and the snap closure. I have here one cover that has a snap closure and has the back pocket, the huge back pocket, and this one is made by Moterm and Mansorah Atelier. This is her beautiful young poet leather, and I enjoy this cover so much. This will patina beautifully. It already started to develop patina, and it's a real structured, solid. It's really a piece of cover, like it's so substantial. This leather is so sturdy, and it makes that beautiful squishy sound, and I know this will age beautifully and be with me for a very long time. So as I was intrigued with that configuration, and Gilio stepped into my radar, I was curious, but honestly, in this time, with their pricing, it's not in my budget. It's just not something I can justify spending on a cover, and it may be the most beautiful cover, the amazing craftsmanship, the most wonderful leather, but it's just not in my budget. I cannot spend that much. But I was lucky enough to find one second-hand or third-hand. I think I'm the third owner, and that's amazing with this community. The second-hand market is, I think it's quite thriving. So I will move these out of the way for now. I have managed to find myself a B6 Gilio for like a fraction of the price. Really affordable price from a wonderful lady that was kind enough to send it to me. And I have opened the box, but I didn't open the box in the box. So you will see my first and uncensored, genuine reaction to the first time I ever see a Gilio cover. So keep in mind, I only saw photos online. I saw a couple of videos. I have read a couple of infos regarding the feel of the leather and that it's more lightweight and it's more supple, but again, my first reaction will be this here. Okay, so look at this. This is so precious. I mean, the second-hand market as well, as it's amazing because you can get something that's maybe not in your budget for an affordable price and give it a second life. It's also amazing because people are really kind, and I often, when I buy something second-hand, I get a beautiful handwritten note or a paper hug like this, and this really makes my day. So thank you so much, sweetie, for sending this. Okay, there's a note. Thank you so much. I will keep that for my journal, and let's go take a look at the cover. So just to make another note, I am used to Magdalena's work at Mansorah Atelier. Substantial leather. This one is really thick. It's like a leather blanket for your journal. It's the noblesse leather. It's these two. This is dark brown, and this one is, I mean, cold gold, I think. The Moterm is thinner leather, but it's also, it has layers, it has pockets, it has structure, so it's also quite a substantial thing to hold in your hand. And I'm curious to see what I'll think of the Gilio. So there's a nice dust bag, it's quite soft, and I can already feel this is lighter. Okay. Oh, it has beautiful texture. Beautiful texture, and this is what I love again about the second-hand market. You can see more pictures, and the lady I bought this from was also kind enough to send me a video so I could see all the pebbles, and I adore pebbles, so this was like an amazing opportunity for me to grab this cover. Okay, so first impressions. The leather is supple. It's thinner, it's not as heavy as the other covers I have. It also feels even lighter than the Moterm, but Moterm is even smaller. Okay, the snap closure. Okay, this one has only the one snap closure. Moterms usually have two, so you can move the closure on the second one so you have more room here. But I also heard that Gilios are more generous, so a thicker notebook should fit in here. Okay, there's even those little cards that prove it's a genuine product. Okay, so these pockets I really like. I love a good pocket configuration. So there's one, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 the big one, 6 is the zipper, and a bunch of these little ones. Okay, when you buy something from Gilio, you also get a pen. I'm not sure. How do you open? Oh, it's a twist. Okay. So there's a pen. Let's move all this to the side. Okay. what are my thoughts? I like the texture, I like the feel of the leather. As far as I can see, everything is really beautifully made. All the corners, the stitching, the zipper. Zipper is standard, it's smooth. The lining is nice. I don't really care that much about the lining, but it definitely is different and has a better feel than the Moterm lining. The Moterm lining is, I don't know, it's a different material, but that's such a non-issue, such an irrelevant thing for me, so I just noticed it doesn't really matter. Okay, so the first impressions are good. I really like it. I'm actually not surprised. From the pictures and videos I saw, I thought I might like it. So let's try it out with a notebook. Let's try with this is the thickest B6 notebook I have in my possession. This is the Sterling Ink Common Planner for 2023, the whole year. And this is really, this is a piece of a book. I will compare it to the Stalogy, also full year. Just take it out. And here it is compared to the Stalogy. So keep in mind this is already used. This is almost brand new. I just started using it as my work planner, so it has only a couple of pages. But this already started to fan out. But even if I put it like this and squeeze it a bit, you can see it's a significant difference. So this is a Stalogy, this is a B6. But we'll start with the thickest, because I'm thinking I might use this for the Sterling Ink at the moment. Okay, so I have the cover on Sterling Ink, and I also read and heard on some videos that the Gilio is wide enough, this slot is wide enough to accommodate cover, and I'm happy about that. And there you go. It actually fits there perfectly, and let's see. Yeah, I think that's great, because it really even has room to grow. It's really generous. And the clasp has no issue. There's a lot of room to grow. So even if this becomes thick, and we know it will become thick, there will be no problem for this cover to hold it, and I'm quite pleased with that. So the good thing about pockets is you can set them up in whichever way you want. It gives you a lot of storage room. And yeah, so let's just compare for a bit. It's all up to your personal preference. Sometimes well, most of the times I really enjoy a nice thick leather, like Noblesse leather is, that Magdalena carries. It's, as I said, like a blanket for your journal, and because it's so thick, she cannot make a bunch of stacked pockets up here. It just would be insanely thick, so she uses thinner leather to make this scalloped pocket, which I really enjoy. It's a beautiful design. And this is like a traveler's notebook, so you just put the notebooks on the strings. And this size, this slide-in pocket here is not wide enough to accommodate the B6 notebook with a cover. You cannot slide it in, it just doesn't fit. And I usually, when I use Magdalena's covers, I just tuck the notebook on the string. So this is the same type of leather, but this is in the color gold, and it's really similar. It also has a scalloped pocket here, This notebook is a Galen leather everyday notebook with Tomoe River paper. It's also quite a thick notebook, but not much thicker than Nostalgia. And here I don't have a cover on cover, and here the notebook fits. So for instance, if you would to go to Magdalena and want her to make you a cover, or specifically a folio cover, if you would like it to fit a B6 notebook with a cover on cover, you would have to make a custom order and ask her to add some height to the cover itself so the pocket accommodates. And she can make all that happen, of course. But I never took that into consideration because my preference is to use the notebooks on the strings usually. So I have the standard size. This is the standard size of the B6 cover. Oh, I think I actually told her to remove like a centimeter from width on this one, and this one is wide as her standard size. It's best to, if you are thinking about ordering from her, it's best to reach out to her directly and chat about your notebook and your preferences, and she's a sweetheart. She will help you out and help you make a good decision. So back to our comparison. So the most similar configuration I have to a Gilio is this one in B6, and this one in the Hobonichi size. So it may be good to compare the Gilio and the Moterm, because a lot of people say that the Moterm is a dupe of the Gilio, and some people say that Gilio is a dupe of something else. I have no idea. I got confused. That's too much information for me. But they are quite similar when you look at them. So you have the snap closure, you have the pen loop, and the biggest similarity is the pocket configuration. So this bunch of pockets here. So the Moterm has a pocket even here. The Gilio does not. I honestly don't know what I would use this pocket for. I don't use even this one. Well, this one is useful if you want to tuck in your cover all the way. But yeah, just so you know, that's a difference. Of course, the leather is different. This is a Moterm vegetable tanned, and it's the color, I always call it olive, but it's called khaki. For me, it's a nice deep olive green. And with Moterm, sometimes you get smooth, sometimes you get pebbly. People compare their orders and the textures are all over the place, which I find beautiful. I love all textures and the variety in the leather, and I have lots of stuff here in the pockets for decoration that makes me smile, but usually you can see on the pockets all the different variations of the leather, because I think they use those scraps to make the pockets. Yeah, so basically I really enjoy Moterm Hobonichi week covers. I have had this one, and I have had, I think, two before this one, because I couldn't settle on the color, so I switched them out on the second-hand market. I like sold two. I had the forest green, I had the honey, and then they came out with this khaki color, and I said, okay, that's it. That's my preference. The other color from Moterm I really enjoyed. I had, for a brief moment, I had an A6 in the apricot, and it's a beautiful cover. I had it just for a short while. I don't know if it will patina. If it did patina for someone, they're not available for such a long time that you could see heavy users developing a patina already, and I'm curious to see about that, because I know Magdalena's young poet patinas beautifully, and if the apricot from Moterm also is able to develop a beautiful patina, I would love to have, I don't know, if weeks or B6 in apricot, because I think that would be a beautiful cover with time. Okay, what else? I have one more cover to compare, let's say, but these are like apples and oranges. Just so we see what are the differences. This is again by Magdalena, and this is an A6. And here, this is the Grace leather. Here, it's a bit different because she's able to provide more pocket configuration as the leather is quite thin. This is actually two layers of leather to make the cover structured and not too floppy. And this leather is absolutely amazing because it is so smooth. Very smooth and very pleasant to the touch. It's almost, yeah, it's like a shell leather. Really a polished look, but very smooth. It does mark up fairly easily. If you want it to be in pristine condition, this has to be in some kind of pouch, or don't toss it in your bag, because if you do, you will get a lot of marks and scuffs. I like that, but just so you know, if you're sensitive to that stuff, that maybe is not the leather for you, or keep it on your desk in a dust bag and just take care of it. This inside pocket is a nice representation of how it is when it's intact. Mine is pretty beat up. Yeah, and again, a completely different type of leather, a completely different size, but whenever there is this snap closure, it falls in the same category for me. The main difference, of course, all of my covers made by Magdalena have strings, because I like to have that option, and strings for the traveler's notebook type of cover always provide more flexibility than standard folio, because in the folio you're basically bound to having one book, or I've seen people use two books, one here, one tucked in here. Gilio actually looks like it could handle it, but for strings I can decide to go with thin inserts and have like 3 or 4 in here with different topics, and the flexibility is what I enjoy, so that's always my preference, to have the strings, as opposed to a Hobonichi Weeks cover. When I have cover for the weeks, I usually carry only the weeks inside, and I don't have any need to tuck in anything else in this cover. Okay, so let's just see how Stalogy would fit. As I said, I have seen people use actually 2 Stalogies in one Gilio, and yes, of course, that I see that could work because so much space. I don't have a second Stalogy. I have the, let's try this. Let's just try to see how it looks when it's stuffed to the max. So this is the Gilio leather B6 notebook. It's with Tomoe River paper, 400 pages. Okay, I just give it a try. I will not be using it this way because this is too much for me and it will become too heavy, but just for all of you who might be interested, this is like a long shot. No, it's not even such a long shot. This works. This can be it's heavy as a brick, but this can work. So if you have like a work and personal in B6, or 2 Stalogy, or a full year Stalogy, and there's a half year Stalogy, I believe, that's thinner, you can make this work easily. So it really is generous and roomy for even 2 fairly thick books. I can try to put the sterling ink, but that's really pushing it. I'm not gonna tuck it in. No way. No way with the sterling ink and the Stalogy, like, yeah. Let's not push it. Okay. I hope this was informative. I usually I like to see these kinds of videos myself, because it helps me make a more educated decision. The problem is that with the lack of physical shops, I'm in Croatia, I'm in Zagreb, there is not one shop here that I can go to and buy a cover, a leather cover, especially not a handmade leather cover. There just isn't a market for this here, and there are no shops. And when I want to accomplish a certain configuration, I can go online, I can look at pictures, but usually it's the videos that provide more information for me to see what I really think I will enjoy or not, what is compatible, what is not. Because when you order online, you can see all the pictures, but you won't have the feeling of holding it in your hand. Right now, when my journal is in here and I'm holding it like this, I can tell you it feels good. The leather feels good, the closure feels good, it's roomy enough. I have a feeling it will have room to grow. It's just comfortable. This is also comfortable. Of course, all Magdalena's covers, this is extra comfortable. This graze leather, it just feels so good to hold in your hands. And if you're that tactile person, if you have certain preferences with the type of the leather, with the configuration of the pockets, with the size, you want roomier, you want a tight fit, you want a fit that barely closes, it's really hard to get a feel for that stuff online. And that's why I'm grateful for the second-hand market, because sometimes I order something and there's just something off. It's a perfect product. Someone else would love it, and I'm just not in love, and I'm not gonna use it. So, second-hand market. I sell it off to the next person, and they might have a happy day, as I had a happy day finding this little gem for really a fraction of the price. So, yeah, definitely check out. I mostly go on Facebook Marketplace, or sometimes some info pops up on Instagram, people doing destash sales or declutter sales, or they want to downsize their collection. When I sell my stuff that just doesn't work for me anymore, or it's just not love, and sometimes something is love for a while and then it is not. I don't like keeping a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff, but I don't like keeping too much stuff in storage. Like, maybe I'll come back to it. No, if I decide it's not love anymore, I usually destash it and invest in something else. So I often post on my Instagram stories or on Facebook Marketplace, and I say, hey, I'm destashing this because of this and that, and yeah. So let's wrap this up. Second-hand market is awesome. Thank you so much to the lady who decided to sell this Gilio to me for really a fair and affordable price, so I have the opportunity to experience it. I will definitely form more opinions with using this one. Give me some time, I'll make an update and I'll definitely share. First impressions are really good. I really like, I think I'm mostly in love with the pebbles and the way the leather feels warm and soft and squishy in my hand. There is not the sound. This is a sound. There is no sound here. But yeah, a warm and soft feel. That's the way I would describe it. And this feels smooth, and this feels substantial and sturdy, I would say. And this feels like this could go through Armageddon and still be beautiful. And this feels like, oh, I have a tangle situation. And the noblesse leather feels like a comfortable blanket, like if you want to be comforted and wrapped up in something warm and all the fuzzy feelings. This is the noblesse leather. I think I covered it all. I'm gonna wrap it up. So thank you for joining me. I will leave some links down below to what I mentioned. I mentioned Gilio, I mentioned Magdalena, I mentioned Moterm. For the secondhand market, check out Facebook Marketplace or follow along people that do destash sales. That's it. I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.